He does not have to worry about Joshua Schmidt just yet, because it's Vincenzo Ciola, first of all, that he has to overcome, and that guy just won the die roll, which is going to give him, of course, a major advantage here, because his Centur-Ion deck, as you can see, is very good at going first.
Yep, and also he's playing the big Bystial package, which is very, very strong against Fiendsmith cards.
Oh yes, it is indeed. Trudea immediately gets met with Effect Veiler, and I like that.
That's big.
Yeah, for sure. And Dinkabui, of course, always is on top of competition. And at some point in the beginning, when the Centur-Ion deck did not have the support yet, it was usually good to just use Impermanent Veiler on the Synchro 12. But nowadays, it's just better to do not even let them get to that part. Oh my, the Ash Blossom on the Lubellion, and that's a pass after a sad card. Dinkabui, even going second, cannot be stopped, stops his opponent instead.
I like the fact that Ash was activating Lubellion, since there is a light on Dinkabui's graveyard, and Magnamut probably will have a target to resolve instead of Lubellion.
Yeah, it would have been so much value for sure.
Yeah, but that's not only a set card, that's also a sad card. Lacrima is a normal summon here. The turn was completely stopped off Vincenzo. Usually the deck doesn't need too much for a combo that isn't the biggest, but usually it kind of gets there somehow. But Dinkabui is just sitting there, needs one card, the Lacrima of Crimson Tears, or as we call it, Fiendsmith Lacrima. But Engraver is on the field now. Engraver has all that it needs, has got the Requiem in the graveyard to set up a send.
Yep, are we going to do that? That's not only one Engravers, but two now in the graveyard, or one of them in the graveyard, one on the field now. So we also would have the opportunity to go for a possible Caesar if we already want to go that route. But first of all, I would agree. We just... Necroco Princess maybe also something we want to consider here. Yep, that does look like a contact fusion there.
Probably there's an effect that can be activated in Dinka's hand, so he can draw.
Or you just want the extra body on the field, because now you can summon back the Engraver, and that's how you get into your sequence, that's how you get to your Wave King Caesar, that's how you get started. Only one monster is not good for Fiendsmith Kashtira, but two monsters, that's the goo.
Oh yes, it is. Dinkabui, it's a minimalistic deck for his standards.
Oh wow.
You gotta admit that, but it's still so good. And there is an old school card coming down the field here. That is, of course, the legendary Constellar Ptolemy M7, adding back the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring from the graveyard. Or trying to do so.
Constellar
players. Great combo, yes.
True. Constellar players rise up. The Ash gets back into the hand. I remember playing Constellar at Euros 2013 in side events, and I got myself a very cool mat.
Okay. Congratulations. I didn't congratulate you on that one yet, so
Thanks.
Glad you did it. So we're attacking with the M7. We are immediately summoning out a Zeus on top of it. So we got the Ash Blossom to our hand. So Dinkabui, he's keeping it simple.
I love this deck.
It's still probably good enough here.
I mean, he always does that. He always plays safe and be secure.
Oh, look. He just does not want Vincenzo having a Bystial in his hand. So the Lubellion number 2 also gets matched with still the same Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Normal Trudea, Zeus effect. It was an impermanence waiting there, though. That is super strong. Honestly, I think Dinka kind of disregarded the infinite impermanence because... Oh, but there is still the Effect Veiler waiting in hand for the Trudea.
One more card in hand for Vincenzo.
One card left in hand for Vincenzo, indeed.
What could it be? Dinka has the follow-up of two cards, of course.
Typhon to the party.
Can I say that I really love this board, this field?
Yeah.
Meaning Typhon versus Zeus.
True. Absolutely. The two Star Slayers battling it out.
The question is, how does Dinkabui get to the monsters that he needs? And I think that's a rather easy answer, because there should still be the Engraver in the graveyard that is going to be able to access almost the entire engine that he has. Oh, and of course the Lacrima in the graveyard.
Can we also watch again Lacrima? Sending, yes.
Look, we didn't even shuffle, immediately the Lacrima out again.
That Joshua sent, so you can send it Desiree from the extra deck to the graveyard and trigger its effect.
That's true. So what are we going to send here? We're still in our deck. Maybe also, are we playing with Trap as well? Yeah. Dinka is also playing Fiendsmith in Paradise, so eventually that could go to the graveyard.
Yeah. So
and there it is. Look, immediately he recognizes Fiendsmith in Paradise, and Vincenzo, yep, he's quite interested in that one, because that is an uncommon sight, but it is a card that Dinkabui and Joshua Schmidt this weekend share in their main decks.
And if you didn't understand how that interaction worked earlier, Lacrima just, of course, shuffled itself back into the deck to special summon out the Requiem, then tribute the Requiem to summon out back the Lacrima of Crimson Tears. And now we also have the Engraver in the graveyard. Of course, we can just go for the Fiendsmith in Paradise to have extra removal on his side, because the Engraver is already set up in the graveyard. Another Requiem. I have been waiting for this ever since the Fiendsmith deck came out, that people just run Fiendsmith decks. And it is very cool, because the engine itself, it enabled so much chaos in combos before, but it in itself doesn't do too much. It just sets up some interruptions, it recycles endlessly, and this is honestly a playstyle that I really enjoy.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And honestly, the Fiendsmith engine kind of fell out of favor the last couple of weeks, because the Azamina engine actually took over in the Snake Eye decks at least. Also, Jubel wasn't as popular anymore, so you were seeing less and less Fiendsmith cards. And then, of course, when Dinkabui hears the word less or little or low, he's immediately going to be upbuilding that deck, and here he is now with kind of a almost pure Fiendsmith deck with a couple of Kashtira cards sprinkled in, and so far, of course, working out beautifully.
I mean, he found his way into my heart when he played MathMech at Euros 2022.
Oh yeah, true, he did that.
He didn't top cut because the deck really just didn't fit the meta there, but I loved it a lot. Now we got into the Wave King Caesar, so there is no crazy OTKs happening. There is no crazy game shots. We're just controlling this game.
And don't forget that Zeus again in the extra deck.
Oh, right.
Oh, true,
no.
Return to the extra. Oh, this time it's going to be even bigger, because there is Gaia Charger, but...
there is no way you have space in the extra deck for Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger.
He's there. He's there, though. 4 material Zeus immediately activating. Is that a Phalanx, possibly, though? It is Centur-Ion Phalanx. And that's going to mean that that Zeus is going to return without materials.
Yep, that is true. It is going to serve as a link fodder in the next turn. If something gets destroyed, then you will be able to attach something from the deck. However, we still have Fiendsmith in Paradise in the graveyard. And I just want to check if this card has any restrictions on it, that you need to control a Fiendsmith card or something. Which would also not be a problem, because you have Lacrima of the Crimson Tears in the graveyard. This engine is so interactive with your opponent in the opponent's turn. It's incroyable.
And you don't even need that. It can just bring one back whenever, whatever. So, yeah, set one card and pass. This game is so minimalistic, and that's the game plan. That's how this is designed. Stamp by phase. Vincenzo summoning back the Zeus to Dinka's side. One card to top deck. Is it going to be one that's good?
Is that either it's Effect Veiler or Trudea? That's
that's a big difference. Oh, yeah. Quite the different cards here in that scenario.
Or Primera.
Oh, it's over though. 1-0 for Dinkabui. Go.
Fist bump. Approached correctly here. Dinkabui and Vincenzo are going to go into game 2 together. Is that not beautiful? And he lets him start, actually. And now there is a primitive pressured planet raid, so that gets ashed immediately. Now we normal summon the Lacrima of Crimson Tears. Does Vincenzo have another? Oh, Ghost Ogre is it big? You can send a Engraver here, no?
I think Vincenzo has just decided, I'm going to adapt to the playstyle of Dinkabui, which is going to immediately go after everything they activate, because Dinka just did the same with him in the last game. It was immediately Veiler, it was immediately Ash Blossom, and now we immediately go for the combination of Ash Blossom and Ogre instead. But you're right, there is going to be the Engraver in the graveyard now.
But was that Ogre not still very relevant? You're going to Requiem here. What can you do here? You have used the graveyard effect of Engraver, so you're going to Requiem, you summon out the Lacrima of Crimson Tears again. You want to have it, of course. Attach them, you go into the
This is Caesar at least, right? We go to Necroco Princess. Oh, wait, we have activated the effect of Engraver already, though. Exactly. Yeah, you're right. But, oh my, we can still have another Engraver in hand, discarding it to also trigger the draw effect of Necroco Princess now.
Yep,
and then we can just go Fiendsmith Tract, yeah, and there's our second monster. So we are at least going to set up Fiendsmith Sequence here, summoning out the Desiree, possibly.
However, Tinka probably has sided out Fiendsmith in Paradise, believing that he may go second.
Yeah, good point. I can see that.
I mean, maybe this is also just a so good card that you need it in the grand game, because every interaction helps you. You have some ways of discarding, like the Fiendsmith Tract, so it's not the worst thing in the world if you draw it.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's definitely possible that's still in there. but we could only guess at this point because Dinkabui, of course, right now only with a couple of cards in his hand, and I don't think I see a trap card in there. So he doesn't have it in the hand, but of course it might still very well be in the deck there. And there is the Fiendsmith track now. But I mean, if there is one person in the entire room here, in the entire tournament, that can adapt to new situations that he maybe has never seen before, it obviously is Dinkabui. And I mean, let me tell you, there probably is no situations that he has never seen before. Yeah. This guy plays Yu-Gi-Oh! Non-stop. He has probably seen all the situations with this deck before. He knows all the scenarios, and he's now activating the effect of Fiendsmith Sequence.
And there is no effect Veiler, no impermanence, no Ghost Mono or Moonlit Shield. There is nothing to stop that from happening. Desiree is being summoned here through 2 hand trips.
Yep, no biggie.
Big combo here, big combo.
And I think there are 4 cards in the hands of Dinkas.
Oh, we link off the Desiree. What is about to happen here? Of course, yeah, we saw that in the round number 1 feature match with Joshua Schmidt. The new addition to the Fiendsmith deck, the Fiendsmith Agnum Day, is being summoned. And therefore now, the Desiree actually has 2 link monsters equipped to it.
Yep, that is good protection here as well. Vincenzo is going to have to play with 4 cards. The field is not too impressive, of course, but there is multiple options for Dinkabui. He has the Lacrima of Crimson Tears in his graveyard, so he can go for the route of using it, putting it back into the deck, summon Requiem, summon out the Lacrima from the deck as well, and then sending the Paradise if it is still in the main deck. But first of all, Vincenzo is going to summon the Centur-Ion Primera, and now let's see if Dinkabui decides to immediately interact with it. He has the Desiree that could just stop this from happening. And I mean, the Centur-Ion deck is not known for its 1000 extenders, right?
We do use the Desiree right away, and we're going to negate the Primera indeed. Are we going to negate anything else? I think that's what Dinka right now is debating. Are we negating our own field spell, possibly? To make our own monsters smaller?
Sure thing.
Oh, look at that!
Oh, he's negating the Agnum Day.
Probably to play around Typhon.
Oh.
Yeah, you're right. That's a very fair point. Very valid point. Possibly playing around Typhon here, making the attack points of the Desiree go down enough so it would not be affected by the Typhon anymore.
But isn't there also sequence giving attack?
Sequence, it doesn't give attack. The newest link gives, I think.
Right.
But still, like, if we summon out the Typhon, that's 2 different monsters with the field spell boost. Yeah, I think it's still small enough. There's Typhon now, which Dinkabui, of course, in his mastermind already played around, using the effect of Typhon. Hold on, hold back. We have to still Veiler it. Okay, so it did not play around Typhon exactly, and there is a card to play around the Veiler, though, called by the grave. So Desiree is gone, and the important part here is it doesn't go to the graveyard.
Yeah, but does that stress us out as Dinkabui? Because we have talked about it, there are resources in the graveyard, now even more than before, because you have 2 more Fiend-Light Link monsters. You have the Lacrima in the graveyard. There might also still be an Engraver in the graveyard. No, actually, it's just the Lacrima. But that is fine, right?
Lacrima brings out Requiem.
I'm probably sure that Engraver will be in a moment in the graveyard.
Yeah.
I think we had 3 in total on our first turn, right? I think we shuffled back 2 for the fusion of the Desiree, but there should still be 1 in there.
Leaves the Requiem on the field, starts his turn with Requiem effect here. Wants to see what the top deck could be. Maybe wants to actually draw into another Fiendsmith card, thus not thinning out the deck there. Lacrima is being summoned, and it's going to send the Engraver, and Vincenzo might realize that this Fiendsmith engine, which was known to combo versus players, that it's outgrinding Centur-Ion.
Yeah.
Heavily.
Absolutely. This might be, as you have been saying, the exploration of this tournament. This might be a trend starting from here on out. This might be the new, possibly, best deck in the entire meta. It's possibly, or it's definitely at this point already a huge threat to be reckoned here for this tournament, that's for sure. Okay, we do get to send the Typhon there with the Engraver effect. And it's doing all of that every single turn, Leo. Like, I love the recursion. You've been praising the recursion of this deck, and it's really so good with that. Like, every single turn, 2 monsters, do with it whatever you want. X-Seeds, Link Summons, Fusion Summons, everything the deck has to offer.
There's 2 more cards in hand. I feel like one of them is Perulia, so
And the other one is the field spell of Kashtira, I believe.
Oh yeah, which does not help you too much in this situation, I suppose. But
Yeah, it was probably drawn for turn, and he already had the Requiem on the
Yeah.
field.
All right, so it's these 2 empty field in terms of monsters for Vincenzo. That's a Link 2 summon going into sequence once more.
the next one, and of course there are 2 Desiree in the extra deck. Impermanence is being used here. How many effects has Dinkabui used from his graveyard already? Because other than that, there is not really a play for him anymore. Or there's no way to get up an interruption. There is one set card on the side of Dinkabui. But you have said earlier that you couldn't spy on a trap card in the hand of Dinkabui. That would be another non-interruption. Then what card could it be?
Normal summon the Perulia. Yeah, I'm also curious. I don't really necessarily know what the set card is. There is a card in his side deck that is pretty much tailored towards the Centur-Ion matchup, which may randomly be there and didn't have any use so far, which is Typhoon. We just saw Typhon on the field, but there's Typhoon in the side deck of Dinkabui actually, which would be a very, very good in general, a very good card in general against Bystial Centurion. There was just no use for it just yet, so possibly that's there.
Are we going into Agony here? Do we have another one in the extra deck? Because you can use
Probably
it
SP, since it's a very good interruption against the Centurions.
with... Yeah,
SP on the Primera.
you can just chill with it, right? It is another interaction, you said it. And you have the Lacrima in the graveyard.
So probably the game play from Dinka is to make SP, force his opponent to enter battle phase in order to destroy it, and then get a turn, activate the Kashtira field spell, and play with the Kashtiras, probably.
Sounds good.
I like that.
Yeah, sounds like a really, really solid plan, as per usual from Mr. Dinkabui.
I mean, you still have the Lacrima when you considered going second, when you side in the Perulia. You might not
And I
actually
think
have the Fallen Paradise in deck.
Yeah, I think it's very likely. Okay, there is the
Archery.
Centurion Archery being normal summoned now. Crucial question here at the moment, of course, how many attack points that Centurion Archery has, and the answer is 1800. Therefore, big enough to attack over the Little Knight.
But that means that you can't get the free card draw if you want to attack all the SP Little Knight, because otherwise I think Dinkabui would have a decent shot at banishing it.
Yeah, for sure. So.
Actually, is there even a Centurion card in the graveyard? Because the Primera is banished.
Well, look, he's showing it to us, but I don't think there was one, yeah? I don't think there's any Centurion cards in the graveyard. I think the other card in hand is a Trudea, actually. So we have picked up a good draw, but not a good draw into the SP Little Knight, and therefore heads-up play once more by Dinkabui to go for that SP Little Knight there, because it was a pretty good interruption for the possible Trudea that even in fact was there then, but couldn't do what it was supposed to do.
Sequence is being shuffled back into the... Oh, it is being summoned back, of course. We're not going for the pressured planet route, because I think at this point we are valuing the Fiendsmith Kashtira a little more.
And another card is being picked up. So only that small-ish archery. I mean, archery was big enough to attack over the SP Little Knight, but it's certainly not going to be big enough to withstand against a Desiree now being fusion summoned off of the sequence. And look at that. That's the good thing about it. You recycle all of your extra deck monsters as well, but just fusion summoning with them. This is so crazy.
And you're also recycling your main deck, so you're basically recycling everything.
And there's Requiem again, man. Just getting the Lacrima out one more time. Lacrima effect was used in the end phase, therefore it's fresh to be used again for this turn as well. And we're going, what do we even need at this point? I mean, there's only one Engraver, so let's just send another one maybe.
If you have Paradise, you send it now because you have the Engraver already. If you don't, I reckon it might be another Engraver. Because how many cards do you even have in the deck? And there is the Paradise.
It is, though.
So we have been very, very patient with that card. It's also completely impressive from Dinkabui. Now the Engraver is being activated. Sends back the Requiem. Can he get rid of the archery via effect?
There is the Engraver now. And that's more and more damage lining up here, right? We're getting close to maybe even having more than 6,300 here at this point. Engraver effect. Oh. Yup, getting rid of archery. Is that going to be the battle phase here, possibly?
Requiem is going to attach to Desiree. And we have the Planet Raids on the field that gives extra attack. Only 100 because all of them are light. So that is not too much. Greatsword increases the attack of your monsters by 100 for each different attribute that you have. If you have 3 monsters that are light, it's going to be only 100.